Hello and welcome to another episode of The Magic Hour. I'm your host, Majid Nderi, aka Magic Lev. Be sure to subscribe and follow on my Instagram at Fame Film Agency or on my YouTube page at Majid Nderi. Today, we don't have one, but two guests from the Teachers for Palestine, Miss Kim and Craig. Sounds like a TV show. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Please explain to me, what is Teachers for Palestine?
So it's a group of teachers and school staff who care very much about what's happening over in Palestine and want to do anything possible. We come together once a month and meet to decide what our actions are going to be. We have lots of different actions. First thing we did was a vigil outside the education department. We've done a lot of writing campaigns to ministers. We're at the moment organising a screening of the encampment and fundraising for a group, isn't it? The West Bank.
Yeah. Okay. Do you work with other pro-Palestinian organisations like the Unionists for Palestine and the AFOPA?
Yes.
Is that a FOPA or just AFOPA?
Okay. Yeah.
But are you guys collaborating together?
Yeah, well, I'm a member of a FOPA, and there's a lot of overlap with people who are in different groups. So whatever event is going on in the week, any given week, we go to theirs, they come to ours. So that's how we network basically all the time, constantly networking and supporting every action, like the actions at Caltex to boycott Caltex. We do, or we'll go to just the rallies or speak outs that have been from students from Palestine. So pretty much everything, but we've got our own little things our own little projects and sort of goals that we've got. But we sort of liaise with everyone and anyone at the moment. I think we're in such a crisis mode that everybody is wanting to do everything they can and support anybody who's supporting Palestine. We'll support them.
How many members do you have, would you say, or that are volunteering their time for the Teachers for Palestine? Is there a number?
Our planning group would be anything from maybe 10, sometimes almost 20.
Yeah.
Depending on who comes from other groups on any given day.
And Teachers for Palestine is based here in Adelaide?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How did it all get started? Like, at what point did you say to yourself, we need to do something, I want to form something? Like, explain how that came to be.
So I was desperate to do more than I was. And I was desperately looking for a group to join. And I could see that there were Teachers for Palestine groups in state. And I thought, maybe there's one here. And there wasn't, so I started one.
Oh, wow. Well, it's something. Is it because you felt, I can't speak for you particularly, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is because I got sick and tired of not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
I felt beyond powerless.
Yes, it was out of desperation. And I needed other people around me who cared as much as I did and wanted to do stuff as much as I did.
You can't unsee what you've seen or unlearn what you've learned, can you? Yeah. I just feel that ever since this whole situation happened, I mean, it's been going on for decades, but only since October 7th had people really been paying attention. And ever since that period, I felt like many people, I would assume that I just can't live my life the way I used to.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I when people ask me, do you want to go clubbing or you want to go to a bar, you want to go to a party? I mean, you know, exactly. I mean, I can, but I'll go as a formality, but I'm not going to enjoy myself. I mean, I can't. I just feel like I can't. So do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, I think we've talked about, the group, like how it has actually traumatised us. Obviously, it's a mild form of trauma, but it has. Like I just saying the other day, I went to the movies the other week. It's the first time in nearly 2 years to do something that's just mindless sort of entertainment. I haven't. I've only gone out, apart from work, the only things that I've done are Palestine related for 21 months now. Because I feel the same. You just feel this sort of emptiness and this almost a sick feeling of what is going on. Like every morning when I get up, it's the same. I'm getting up, and I don't like mornings.
Yeah.
But it's not like a morning waking up to rubble.
It's like this annoying weight that you just can't shake off.
Yeah.
You know,
And you've got to keep looking at it. Really,
Yeah, no,
because you can't really turn your...
You pick up your phone, it's the first thing you see.
Yeah.
You know?
It's still going on, even if you choose not to look anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can't not. And I'm in this weird situation where, as a single parent, I have to still be happy and fun for my daughter and still do all those fun things. I need to at least be able to put aside for a little bit for her.
Yeah.
To cope and to manage and to have some sort of rules.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not something that you can hide away from children either, because like many of them are finding out themselves. How old is your?
She's 9.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, she's still in that age where, you know, my son turned 12 in January, and he broke my heart because I asked him, okay, but what do you want? What should I get you for your birthday? And he goes, how much does this game that I want cost? Oh, it's like $100. He goes, take that $100 and give it to Palestine. That's what he said. All right, and I was like, okay. I got it for him anyway, and I put the $100 aside. But you know, but the thing is, the fact that he just said that, you know, like he was willing to give up something that he really wanted because he even felt it wasn't important. Yeah. You know, and 12-year-olds, their whole lives right now are surrounded by revolves around video games and Roblox and the Minecraft movies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And he's infested in that, but he was willing to just say, you know what, Dad, no.
And this actually is one of the other things we've been talking about is nothing's been done about the impact it's had on Muslim students. Just one of my Year 12s who's from Iraq and a supporter of Palestine said to me the other day, Mr. Nielsen, can I talk to you? And I thought it was going to be about a Year 12 studies and everything. We went, and she burst into tears about Palestine, saying, you know, it's just so horrible. And at the time, normally I would palm something like that off to the wellbeing team.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, that's not going to go anywhere. They're going to sort of shut her down rather than affirm what, you know, she's feeling. They're going to somehow try and shut it down. And you know, that's the thing. So I didn't. But that's something, there's nothing being done. There's been a lot said about, you know, supporters of Israel as students or in general feeling frightened over here because of the rise of anti-Semitism. But nothing said about the Islamophobia that's actually on the rise, massively on the rise.
But what does it mean to be anti-Semitic? Because right now, everything is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
If I disagree with somebody of the Jewish religion, well, actually, no. If I spoke to a practicing Jew and I was to disagree with anything he would say, he would not label me as an anti-Semitic. No. But if I was to question Israel's politics, then all of a sudden I am.
Oh, yeah.
You see? The thing is it anti-Semitic or is it anti-Israel?
Yeah.
So there are two different things. Because a common Jewish person, and there are many Jewish people who are protesting against what Israel is doing. They would not call you, or they would not call or label people anti-Semitic if you are questioning what Israel is doing.
Yeah.
Right? If I was to say something negative about Jewish people because I hate them for myself, okay, that could be construed as anti-Semitic. Yeah. You know. So, as educators, do you see a change in students' behavior or reactions to their daily life because of this?
Well, because I go to a school where there's a reasonable amount of support for Palestine, I go in there wearing my
hat.
The hat. And another teacher wears the keffiyeh.
Yeah.
And so I've got just a hat with a Palestinian flag on it. And I will get kids that I don't even teach, so I don't even know who they are, will chase after me and say, I love your hat. So we get that positive thing that would never have been there. I did not know it was there. So I've seen that. So a more positive thing that there's more these are children who know about this and are wanting to say thank you for doing that. I can remember being down the mall once on our BDS protests with a lot of Palestinian flags, and 3 Arab children ran up to us. I couldn't believe it. They were just from Gaza, just one of the early ones who came up, and just couldn't believe there was someone in Adelaide that cared about Palestine. But they couldn't talk. They were told they couldn't talk.
Yeah, because nobody had the voice for them.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think they were actually threatened almost that you start telling people that Israel's banned what's going on with Gaza, then we might have a look at your visa status.
Yeah.
I've seen that that there's that support out there and amongst the kids. But yeah, every now and then, I'm certain they're all upset about it and everything. But you know, they've got to go on, and like I've got a friend who's a teacher, and she's got an 8-month-old and a 2-year-old. And that especially what's going on is upsetting her all the time. Sees pictures of little babies, infants, and it's just being a new mum. It just knocks her around, and she sometimes said to me, "I've got to have a break from this."
Yeah,
because she's still got to be a mum.
Yeah,
and yet the images are just shocking.
There is no break. There is no break. You know, like you can everything that we do is like a distraction. You know, when we go to the movies, it's a distraction. When we hang out with our friends, it's just a distraction. When we come home, you know, we're going to be in that same state that we were before we left.
I feel like you're going a little bit insane because everything else is normal. You have to go to work. No one's talking about it except for in your little groups. And it's like, why? What is going on? Like, why are you talking about this? And how is everything still the same?
A lot of it, I believe, is because of denial. You know, they want things to go back the way they used to be.
Yes.
And everybody would want that. I can understand that. You know, but it can't. It just can't. I in one of my episodes, I was discussing how envious I was to those that didn't care. I was envious because they don't feel what I'm feeling. It hasn't hurt them in the way that it hurts me or others. It doesn't bother me in the least. I can still do what I want to do. I can still have fun and be happy. That does not bother me. In a way, I envy them, and at the same time, I feel sorry for them. You know, because like, how do you know that God's not going to punish you one day by... it might not happen to you, but it might happen to somebody close to you. It might happen to your children. It might happen to your mother. Who knows?
It's still knows that it's happening to someone else. Never meet.
But there are people that just can say, fuck it, I don't care. You know, there are people that are out there. You know, you see them all the time. Are people still talking about this shit? Fuck them all, hope they all die. Things like that. They just come up with, you know, ridiculous comments, insensitive style.
But that plays into the fact that the dehumanisation has been so successful. Because if people actually saw Palestinians or Arabs in general as actual humans, surely, I mean, if they were white.
I believe so. Because nobody is saying, fuck the Ukrainians, now are they?
Correct.
All right? Nobody's saying, hope they all die. You know?
How many Ukrainians do you actually know?
But
they've never been demonised, so we're okay with that.
You can't compare the death toll.
No.
You cannot compare the death toll. New study has shown over 400,000 Palestinians now. Over 400,000. I don't think 400,000 Ukrainians have been...
Well, it's definitely not the children or the healthcare workers and the
journalists are not being targeted. They're not being starved. So it's a completely different situation entirely. You can't compare the two. I'm not saying that Putin is doesn't have evil intentions in some of the things that he's doing, but he's not. I wouldn't. Netanyahu is somebody I could say he's barbaric. You know, he just won't stop. You know, there's no talking to him. I mean, whether he's doing it to stay longer in power to avoid the prosecution, whatever it is, the thing he's bloodthirsty. I don't get the bloodthirstiness from Putin. I mean, but when you see Netanyahu, I just feel like, okay, is he going to stop at Palestine? I don't think so. He's already got troops behind Syria. He's taken southern Lebanon. He just wants to expand. He just wants to keep growing. He wants this greater Israel. But I want what I like to call a forever Palestine. If it's ever going to be renamed, if ever Israel does lose, God willing, and the region can be changed, I don't want it to be called Greater Palestine or Palestine. It should be forever Palestine, like forever. Like, do not touch this ever again, forever. Because they earned it. I think after 77 years, almost 8 decades now, they have earned that right to govern their own way, because they've been doing it successfully prior to 1948. I mean, it was the British mandate, but still, they were better off then they are now.
I look at Netanyahu has been committed to demonising Palestinians. I just saw it again, the infamous case where he wouldn't sit in the same room with the Palestinian Edward Said. He was meant to debate him, and this was when Netanyahu looked like he was in his 30s. And he said he wouldn't sit in the same room with him because Said would try to kill him.
Yeah, God.
And that's what he actually said. Now,
I'm trying to kill him. I can tell you that right. I if I was in the room, I would want to kill him.
Now, it wasn't a matter of whether Netanyahu really believed he was going to kill him, but he wanted
The victim
to
card, man.
say,
The victimized,
he
the
just
victimized,
wanted-
the victimized. Like you see documentaries and you see these reports when they are interviewing Israeli citizens. What do you think about the Palestinians? Oh, they're trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us. Honey, it's 400,000 to less than 400,000. Yeah, who's doing all the? Who's trying to kill who at this point? Now, as educators, has it ever entered your mind on the notion that should we implement Palestinian studies in schools?
I think that we should definitely have some decolonisation of our curriculum, and that will start with places like Palestine. But also we need to turn Europe back on ourselves as a colonial place where a genocide has occurred. And I think that's a big sticking point, and I think that's why history like that is avoided, because then we have to look at ourselves and be more honest with ourselves. And I would like to see it even bigger than just that, like the whole decolonisation of looking at the effects that the invasion and colonisation of lots of different places has had on the Indigenous population. Because I listened to this podcast yesterday or the day before, and then I was saying that the concept of whiteness is malleable depending on what the people in power want to achieve. So, the Irish were genocided as well. At the time, they were sort of not white, in that they were the Indigenous population that were being genocided. But then later on, when they went over to the US and they needed more police, then all of a sudden, they would start employing the Irish and start employing the Italian and start employing, because before they were, not white enough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I think all of that needs to be looked at.
Oh, no, of course.
Picked apart. And
If you're going to teach one, you're going to have to teach others that can be relatable. Obviously, but if let's say intro to the history,
yes.
just the introduction to Palestine, for example, where we can include other countries that have gone through similar things, but I just feel like Arab countries, particularly Palestine, has been completely neglected, not even thought of to teach. Not long ago, less than a year ago, China has implemented Palestinian Studies, and they also teach the birth of Zionism and how it negatively impacted the world.
How it was an atheist.
Yeah.
Uh,
And how the British were the ones who stuck things up over in Palestine in the first place.
Yeah. All right.
So we would teach in Haas, we would teach the First World War, Second World War,
Yeah.
but all the stuff that actually sort of was affected in between, it sort of missed out.
Well, I guess
It depends on which, particularly in the Middle East, it just doesn't come up.
never once has the teacher said or made any reference to other countries that were involved, and they said, if you want to learn more, learn. At least encourage us. Maybe it's not in their curriculum to say it, but they can at least reference it.
When Palestine is referenced in the high school curriculum, which I'm not overly familiar with, so I'm in a primary school, what they say is it can be, like in the study notes, it can be controversial throughout the Palestine. That's the area of something.
But the thing, we were just talking about this earlier. I mean, nothing should be controversial. This should not be controversial.
Absolutely not, because if you're only teaching one side, that's not education, that's indoctrination. So the controversy should 100% be there. That's how we create critical thinkers.
Okay, as teachers, let's say you wanted to introduce a new subject, even one as controversial as wanting to learn about the history of Palestine, dating back to the 1800s, for example.
Yeah.
How would one start that? Do you have to speak to the Department of Education first? Do you have to get a petition signed first by the majority of the teachers? Like, if this can be a thing, where will you start in order to make it possible?
No idea.
Yeah, it would be just something like that. letter writing and lobbying teachers and trying to get, because as we were saying as well, the department is a bit of a fortress.
Yes.
And they repel borders.
If you're not in corporate, in curriculum writing.
Yeah. And the curriculum writers are very conservative, if you ask me, the ones that are into that at school. Because if you want to get involved in education, you don't become a curriculum writer.
Okay.
You don't. They're the bureaucrats who run it. You want to get in education because you like to be in the classroom and you like to deal with young people. So there's this gulf, I feel. I've never felt like the department is not, I think, have a great empathy for teachers. And sometimes you think of them as sort of the enemy, really, don't you?
Well, they're in the ivory tower.
Yeah, they are. So how you would scale that ivory tower?
Try.
No. Look, there are ways around it. Right? You can have free classes after school once a week or twice a week to come and learn about it. And you can get away with it. But it's not going to make a massive impact. Like, I am sure if you were to speak to the Department of Education or whoever is in charge of that, they're going to laugh at you and say, haha, it ain't going to happen. All right? And then but you keep being persistent. They're going to laugh again. And then they'll probably say to me, okay, get me 500,000 signatures and we'll think about it.
So I know there was an attempt to bring it in through the wellbeing for learning that we do. A student wanted to do a little 10-minute segment on it, but it was shut down because that's too controversial.
Again,
it is crazy. We love some controversies, but hate others.
Yeah, it depends on.
It's not that they don't like controversy. It's just some are better than others. Not all controversies are equal.
As a classroom teacher, you can be creative.
Yeah.
Last year, I was teaching visual arts, and I taught what was happening over there through different arts. So I just happened to bring up protest art, and I just happened to bring up, watermelons and what's happening over in Palestine. So I still could teach what was happening, but I was still teaching.
Yeah.
Well, in 2014-15, I spent 3 months in the West Bank working as a human rights observer.
You were there physically?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my whole school knew. It was a country school. It was about 350 kids, but I got to address the entire school about it. And they all, I was asked all sorts of questions. So you can use your personal voice every now and then, which is about, I guess, as far as we've got to go. So you use that sort of influence, and it comes up all the time. Some kids, I've had them, they know if they don't want to do much maths for the next 25 minutes, they'll say, Mr. Nielsen, well, what is it about Palestine? And they know I'll just go on. And so I get opportunities like that. Well, and wearing the keffiyeh, being visible.
Well, hopefully they're paying attention and learning, not just dazing off. I don't know what 17 times 12 is, things like that. Okay, well, Albanese has made a statement over and time again that he plans to recognise Palestine finally in the month of September.
I think you recognise something at that moment.
Do you think he'll go through with it? I mean, would it matter if he didn't or did at this point? I mean, but do you think he'll go through with it?
It would be the final straw for me with just, I don't know, I just don't think I would want to be in a room where someone even mentions his name after that. My family sort of grew up supporting Labor. My father was very involved in the Labor Party many years ago. And I was just so disgusted with them. And even though it's not a great step forward, it's not. Some people are saying too little too late. What's the point? But if he couldn't even do that, if he reneged on that, then you're just a waste of space.
Oh, well, obviously. But, the thing is with politics, it used to be about making a change. It used to be about serving the people. Once upon a time, I'm guessing. I think that's how it's supposed to have started. But isn't it just like selling your beliefs to the highest bidder? You know what I mean? Like, at first, I thought this was just a ruse from Albanese to get more bribes out of Netanyahu. I'm going to do it. Okay, this is the price. Okay, I won't do it. Because Netanyahu is now making ridiculous claims that because France and the UK are deciding to recognize Palestine in September, Netanyahu is urging all Israelis to not visit France or the UK and to exit. if that's the case, would they leave Australia if Albanese chose to recognise Palestine? I mean, I think it's just a win-win at this point.
Yeah,
You know?
Everyone will be disappointed with that.
Well, yeah, I won't be crying if we have plane loads of Israeli supporters go back to Tel Aviv. But Netanyahu, you just listening to ravings, is a psychotic man, really. I don't know how politicians would actually deal with him, because I can remember Obama talking about what a nutcase Netanyahu was. But they still choose to deal with him.
But at the end, he still chose to serve his master.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I mean, look, Obama. I give Obama credit for one thing. He knows how to present himself presidentially.
Yeah.
You know, he knows how to handle the press. He knows how to speak to people. He has a vocabulary, unlike the current president. He knows how to speak, but it doesn't change the fact that he was still a murdering bastard.
He's also the only Nobel Prize winner who's bombed another Nobel.
There you go. There you go. And what was I read something today? I think it was Trump is. I think it's Norway is in charge, isn't it, of who gets the Nobel Prize? I think it was threatening Norway. Just give me the Nobel Prize and I won't tariff you. You know. Does that not sound like a child?
Yes.
Like if you don't give me back my lollipop, I'm not gonna go to bed early tonight. You know, like isn't that where it's coming from? Isn't that what it's sounding like?
Yes,
absolutely. And that's what's so scary about this, because the people in charge they're just ridiculous. The choices you've got for your politicians. And Biden there, who was just the worst suck up that you could imagine. And then it's either him or Trump. What a dreadful choice it was for them. And here, not a lot better. Not a lot better.
I tell you with Trump.
Yeah.
Albanese, who's trying very hard to walk that line of, he wants to still hold on to what he calls Middle Australia. But I think the thing where everyone was on the bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, I think politicians looked at that suddenly and went, there's actually a lot of people, and it's not just the crazy lefties. It's a whole heap of other people who normally don't get involved in this kind of thing and they actually care about it. So I think when he sees stuff like that and then he's like, I'm going to recognise it as a state, he's trying to hold on to that unitary part of Australia and hold on to their support. I don't know if he'll follow through on that part.
Yeah, it was definitely like that. You're seeing that there's too many people. He could, because before they were saying after the election, okay, that's a dead issue now, because it didn't matter in the election. Everyone's voted for us anyway. Yeah. And then he's got 300,000 people walking across the bridge and going, oh, hang on, maybe it's not dead. In fact, we've got this weekend coming up as well, which is it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't think they're planning another bridge thing. I don't know what they're doing in Sydney, but they just had a massive one in New York as well.
Yeah.
So
it's happening more and more around the world.
Oh yeah. See, people thought when it first happened, if you'd have told me 21 months later we'd still be going, I would have thought who would be alive yet still, but that it's still going. It sort of dropped off a bit there for a while, probably about 14 months ago, and it's actually started to build. I think it's the starvation issue, which has actually ignited a lot of people, because that's just such an incredibly callous thing to do that doesn't target Hamas. Nothing to do. It's going to target everyone. And I think also people just don't. People tell me, I still hear it every now and then. Someone says, Hamas is stealing food and whatever. And I said, the people of Gaza know who's
dealing with food, who's blocking the aid.
Yeah, and they're not blaming Hamas.
Of course not.
There's not massive. These people are watching their children starve. If they thought Hamas was doing it, that they would turn on them like anyone would turn on them. I don't care how you carry on, what control you think Hamas, they would turn on anyone who's starving your child.
I think also people are becoming really disenfranchised with their leaders. And I think they thought that by now they would be actually doing something. And I think maybe wait for other people to be able to do something or to save them over there. Those flotillas, both of them have been unsuccessful. I think people are seeing all these attempts from civilians to break this siege and zero attempts from our leaders. Yeah. And I think they're looking and they're going,
this is another one due, and it's a whole mass of boats going over, I think.
Really.
And I think Greta's going again.
Yeah, I heard that.
And just the way they carry on about her, like some dreadful.
Yeah, she's a threat to national security.
Yeah.
Yeah, protesting is happening all around the world. You're seeing a sea of red, green, and black.
Yeah.
You're not seeing a sea anywhere of white and blue.
No.
Football stadiums have just covered in Palestinians. And yet FIFA is still making the decision whether or not to ban Israel or to keep them. In the UEFA, which is the Europeans Cup. Okay, here's a question. I thought Israel are trying to convince the world that they are of Middle Eastern origin. Why do they want to compete in a European tournament?
Because whiteness is malleable depending on how we want to use it. That's why.
So can Asians compete in an all-African event? I mean, if Israel is allowed to be in both the Middle East and Europe, why can't any other race do the same? Because they're all from Europe.
You know, they're winning the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah, exactly. They're that as well. It took me a while to come to this realization, but you can stop me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care how many people it pisses off. I think the reason why Israel gets so much support from European countries, and particularly even American countries, is because I don't think they are supporting them because they care for them or they love them or they believe they're right. I think they are supporting them there because they don't want them here. All right? Like if Israel was to leave the Middle East and take a place in Mongolia, their first supporters would be the Palestinians.
Yes.
You know, yes, they deserve to be there because we don't want them back. You know, that will be the mentality. That will be the... And I feel like a lot of their support is coming from that mentality. Yes, support them. I don't want them here. Fuck them.
Yeah.
You know, we tried to get rid of them for years. They're finally gone. I don't want them back. Yes, let them have that land. I don't care who dies there, just as long as nobody dies here.
Yeah.
You know,
they all go back to their own home country, though. Then, like, it's not just one spot that they all have to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the Zionist idea because they can only be safe from anti-Semitism unless they all huddle together, but it's actually the opposite. You know, it is. I mean, just imagine how Hitler would have loved to have had all the Jews in one spot. Then you can just annihilate them easily. You don't have to conquer every country in the world to get them.
I even have a problem with the word anti-Semitism only being used for people with Jewish faith because Arabs are so much.
Yeah.
It's been
most of them.
and twisted.
Most of them are from Europe. Most of them are Polish.
Yeah.
All right, you're an anti-Semite, dude. I'm an Arab. You're from Poland. Who the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know. All right, I'm a Semite. Am I a Semite? Right. So when you say anti-Semite, do you mean also that's being anti-Arab or just being anti-you?
Well, that's exactly right, and that's so the word has been twisted and weaponized to mean something completely different to what it actually means.
Yeah.
And they've done that. People in power do that to obviously silence other people, and they silence dissent. Like our code of ethics is ridiculous in that way. So they define democracy as supporting the government of the time. That's just that's what that is. And then the other word is being impartial. So you know, they describe that as being politically neutral. How can you be politically neutral yet support the government of the time?
Yeah.
Those two things don't go together.
No.
But that's the document they use to try and silence us when we become political ourselves.
Yeah.
But they just change the meaning of the words.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
No, but have you noticed that more and more people aren't giving into this anymore? They're not buying into this whole anti-Semitic bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have so many celebrities who have recently jumped ship. You have Piers Morgan, Bono, who was a full-on Zionist for. I underline Bono because I don't trust what he's saying.
No.
Right?
I've been very disappointed.
You know, I don't even trust Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson because he's also a pro-Israeli. But you've had all of these celebrities, even Madonna now. She's talking to the Pope. all right, can do something for Gaza. He goes, who the fuck are you to say that?
Yeah.
You have a house in Tel Aviv. She owns a home in Israel.
Yeah.
All right, she owns a home. She owns a home in Israel. She's got a mansion there, and she went to the new pope and say, "Help out the Gaza." What the fuck are you doing? You are a Kabbalah yoga, some twisted woman who don't even know what the fuck you're talking
All
about.
these people, though, can see the tide turning and go, "Oh, I have to go with it."
Yeah. Okay, here are some legitimate celebrities. You've got Mark Ruffalo.
Yes.
You've got Ariana Grande. You've got the Formula One race car driver, Lewis Hamilton. Michael Caine. Billie Eilish. Jon Stewart. Andrew Garfield. And good old Javier Bardem, to name a few.
And
Candace
Pedro Pascal.
Who?
Sorry, what?
Sorry, I didn't hear enough.
Pedro Pascal.
Pascal, the Fantastic Four. Yes, okay, cool. Well, I wonder why he got cast now.
And Candace Owen, crazy as she's
Candace Owen, she's but she's more of a representative.
Yeah.
She's not a celebrity that an actress. That, you know what I mean? Now, you got your pro ones that are pro-Palestinian from the heart, but all these ones that are jumping ship. Are they jumping ship because they finally saw what they were representing all this time was wrong, or had their conscience got the better of them? Shit, they're getting sanctioned. I can be next. Am I going to be on the hit list for pushing that propaganda for so long? It makes you really wonder, doesn't it?
I think they're more concerned about themselves than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit cynical. I think.
They don't want to get cancelled.
Yeah.
Okay, because my next question.
There are people who are very conscious of what is actually going on at sort of a grassroots level where a politician doesn't have to care. They do because that's who buys the records.
No, politicians. It's not a job of a politician to care.
No.
The politician, the job of the politician is to gain, always. But what benefits them the most?
What about? There's still some that are really disappointed. So cute, did the movie Lucy. What's her name? And she's one of the...
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, she was the one who... Oxfam kicked her out because she said she supported the settlements. I haven't heard anything from her recently. I think that some of them have gone quiet.
Well, to save their career, look at DJ Khaled, a Palestinian, has not said anything. And apparently, the reason why he hasn't said anything is because he doesn't want his opinion to affect his luxury lifestyle. Now, this goes on on what we were talking about people who just don't care, and they're happy not to care. But how can you be one of those people and not care? That just people are starving in Gaza. Yet this is the only fat Palestinian I've seen. A Palestinian who's overweight, which is even more shameful, and that just does not care. It drives me insane.
Yeah,
I think their ethics are rooted in individualism.
Yeah,
not in what's best for everyone. It has to be, right? Because you're just looking at yourself and what benefits you.
Well,
so there's sincere. What about Cage? What's his name? Sorry.
Nicolas Cage?
Nick Cave, sorry. Nick Cave, because he was always against the boycott. What's he saying now? I haven't heard much from him.
Okay.
That'd be interesting to chase him up, what he's done. But Bono's the one that disappointed me the most, because I always love you too.
Well,
I can't listen to any of it.
I know exactly what you're saying, because Leonardo DiCaprio has entered that list now because he wants to build a new hotel in Israel. So Mr. Aviator, I want him to be departed. Whether it's down the Titanic or... gets shot in Basketball Diaries. I don't know. I'm listing all of his films for him to be killed in. So I'm glad he played Romeo and got killed. The thing is that because Romeo must die, and that's another movie. I'm doing all these puns now, but see, even that has disappointed me. And like a person who was so pro-environmentalist.
Yeah.
How can you go from that to that? I just don't understand that. It's like I'm anti-murder, but I'm pro-rape. You know what I mean? There's no real balance there.
But he's also not pro-environmental because he took a private jet to Jeff Bezos' wedding.
Yeah, okay.
They say this shit and then their actions don't follow it.
What do you think was going through his mind for him to be like that? I don't want to talk about DiCaprio. I'm just saying, for somebody who you would think would be moving in the right direction, somebody who you think was doing the right thing for humanity or whatever, to want to build a hotel.
Oh, because it's an eco hotel. Did I not tell you that part? It's like an environmentally friendly.
Okay. He's a movie guy. He's been in movies. Has he not seen The Shining? All right. You know what happens when you build a hotel in a land of corpses? You know, I mean, it's not going to be. The outcome's always going to be negative.
But I think we're also going to remember that this is the last 100 years of. It's the only time in history where actors have ever mattered.
Well, that's not really true. I mean, no. In the 50s, actors were the bosses.
No, 100 years ago.
Oh, I'm talking about then. Okay.
Yeah, but they weren't worshipped like that. Actors often were thought as a lowly profession to be an actor in Japan, and everywhere in the world. But now we elevate them now, and we wonder why they've got stupid ideas. It's because they're not necessarily a genius to be an actor.
Well, no.
They've got a voice that a lot of them probably shouldn't have.
Well, yeah, but that considering that logic, that could be anywhere, not just in acting. It could be in any media, whatever profession you choose. But if you have a platform where you can be heard, you have to take that That's a huge responsibility because that can make you or break you. Depending on how you want to take it, depending on how you want to use it.
Yeah, well, I think someone like Noam Chomsky, he earned his platform, and I'm happy to give it to him. Caprio's platform. Why did he earn it again? Because he's an actor, and we all want to be like that, don't we?
No, it wasn't just that. The thing is, acted like DiCaprio. Somebody that was clean cut. Okay, he's attracted to younger women, but then again, who isn't? But somebody who is clean cut. He hasn't been in any bad films. He chooses his films. Strategically, and he has given solid performances in everything that I've seen him give. So you want to root for him. He's the kind of person that you're rooting for. And to root for somebody like him, and for him just to take a dump in your face like that.
Big studies done though. It's the more wealth somebody accumulates, the lower their empathy and the less they care about.
Yeah, but I don't think that applies to everybody. It applies to a lot, but not all actors I feel the same way. I mean, you got others that are doing the exact opposite. You got actors who are willing to put their careers on the line. Ben Affleck, the one that stood up to Bill Maher. I saw that interview that he had with Bill Maher, where Bill Maher he's just dedicated to bad-mouthing Arabs and bad-mouthing Islam and calling everybody that's from that region a terrorist, and he just shut him down. And it was perfect. What pisses me off is that everyone that was pro-Palestinian, saying these messages, even with Stephen Colbert, their shows are getting cancelled. Yet this fucker is still on. Because no, it's not funny. It's what happens when you are part of the Zionist regime, when you are pushing their agenda. Right? I think Piers Morgan quit because they gave him a pay cut. And that's why he turned. That's my
Is he off the air? Is he gone?
No, he's still on the air. But the reason why he changed sides is because I think he wasn't liking his new salary. Now, how would you respond if I told you? Here's an interesting fact, a terrifying fact. How do you respond to learn that 82% of Israeli people on a global scale, in and outside of the country, supports the genocide and the extermination of Arabs? 82%. That's a high number.
I would say the brainwashing has been very successful.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yes. It is.
Oh yeah. I mean, a group that sees themselves as all survivors of the Holocaust going to be the most vulnerable people, and they've got a country there that Zionism absolutely pushes that night and day. And that's even my experience with Jewish people here. I've seen that lovely people, and I've seen that paranoia come up about persecution. And it was the most ridiculous context that had nothing to do with anything about Israel, but they felt as soon as they're criticised, it's got to be because I'm Jewish.
Yeah. Okay. But there are Jewish people that have nothing in common with Israel. Nothing at all. But because by Israel's logic, they're saying any Jewish person can come and claim a home here. This is their home. Indian Jews went there, and they weren't even allowed in most places in Israel. And African Jews, Kenyan Jews, right? They were beaten. Many of them raped.
They got decorated Egyptians. They couldn't
Yeah.
recreate.
You see, so it's not about Jewish. It's about white people. It's about what people. It's about who they want to be accepted as. What they say. A Jewish person, a Jewish religion will accept anyone who is willing to give to that religion, and they will become.
Because it's a religion.
And they will become just like anybody that can become a Muslim or a Christian or a Buddhist or whatever. But in the eyes of what Israel perceives as what Jewish is, you are not.
But it's I don't think it's that open and shut, because you've got anti-Zionist, non-religious people who call themselves Jews.
This is where it gets confusing, because you have Israeli people that disguise themselves as Jewish people.
Yeah.
They even wear the Jewish clothing, either with a sideburn, the hat, and everything in black. But they got nothing. There's nothing peaceful about them. They don't preach anything. They actually say everyone who is not Jewish, they are here only to serve us.
Yeah.
They are here to serve. Have you heard that quote?
Yeah.
They are here to serve us. Everybody that's not Jewish are here to serve us.
So
You know?
what do you say then about someone like Chomsky?
What do you say?
Is he Jewish?
Sounds Jewish, Chomsky.
Yeah, Ukrainian, but he himself doesn't identify anymore. Because it really, historically, traditionally, it's been a religious identity. Sort of a non-religious Jew. Have you met many non-religious Christians? Christians that are non-religious?
I've met a lot of non-religious people. But because they're so non-religious, they won't even tell me what they used to be.
No. Have you met a non-religious Christian? It's a contradiction in
It
terms.
is.
And really, this is what historically a non-religious Jew is really not a Jew.
No, I totally agree.
But that's not what see, it's like people want to identify how they want to. So I know people like Anthony Lowenstein in his book. He's an atheist. He still identifies as a Jew. And I've spoken to him a couple of times. So what does Judaism mean to you? And he says, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Okay.
It's been a journey through his life. What is Judaism? So he sees the ethical bits, but no, Moses never happened. There's no God. That's all wrong. But there's something he wants to distill from it. So it's really complicated. The question who's a Jew and who's not, for a start, and who can become a Jew. But how do you become a secular Jew?
So now they categorize different kinds of Jews?
Yeah, well, how would you become a secular Jew? You can't become a secular Jew. You can become a religious Jew, then you're a Jew, and then you can become secular. And then after being a secular...
It sounds like there's too many levels to get to where you want to get to. At the end, it's like at the end, like all religions, it's all about peace and love. It's about loving yourself, loving thy neighbor, treating everybody with respect.
If it's followed the way that's intended to.
You know,
so they want to take that. I think that's what someone like Anthony Lowenstein would say. He sees the ethical and moral compass of Judaism, and he wants to follow that. But he doesn't particularly want to go to the sorry, what did they have? Not the temple, the synagogue.
The synagogue.
And so those religious practices, but the ethical compass, that's what he wants to embrace. Okay. So that's where he's saying, I'm Jewish.
Okay. Now, one thing that really gets under my skin is why our leaders, even people like Albanese, are pushing for a fictional two-state solution. Why do they keep pushing for? Is this a distraction?
Absolutely, I think so.
You know, because like there can't be a two. I think the two-state solution option it was never a solution, but that option is completely past.
100%.
You know,
50 years ago.
You know, I mean,
to be pro-Palestine when you were younger. That's the other stupid thing. Have I seen his?
The Labor Party got made. I think so was Julia Gillard, so was Penny Wong. I think the Labor Party got rid of all of that out of them. But I think it's a distraction. It makes it look like you've got some ethical...
Like you've got empathy.
But yeah, it makes it look like you want something good to happen.
Yeah, and also you can then do nothing.
Yeah.
We've got a two-state solution. Well, the thing is that Netanyahu and the Israelis don't have a two-state solution.
No,
so
of course not.
What does it matter if you've got one?
Well, how can there be one when they want a greater Israel? Where they want, they want Jordan and Syria and Lebanon, parts of UAE, Qatar, and Saudi.
The first time I saw a picture of the West Bank, and how there it is in 48, and you could just see the settlements growing, and the infrastructure growing. It doesn't look like they want to give it up.
No, it's not. They want to occupy more.
It doesn't take any brains to work that out. You go and see the settlements. I think people think they're probably tents.
Yeah.
But you go and see them. So when I spoke to Israelis, about settlements is what settlements? They're towns. They're Israeli towns. They don't know the word settlements. And when I was in Israel and I got a tourist map of Israel, there's no occupation. There's no occupied territories. It's just all, and there's no picture of the wall. Anything. There's no line there. It's all Israel. And when we came in over the Allenby Bridge, the first thing they said to us, welcome to Israel.
Yeah.
They didn't say welcome to
Palestine.
yeah, what would they say?
Jerusalem.
Welcome to Israel.
Okay.
The same thing. It's all Israel already.
Speaking of things that Australia is doing that are good and that are not so good, something recently happened. Australia cancels the arrival and visa of Israeli politician. Did you hear about this? Senior MP, if I can say his name correctly, Simcha Rothman, with a 3-year ban because this man recently posted or made a statement about starving children in Palestine, saying they are the enemies.
That's right.
He was saying starving children are the children who you can see their bones coming out their spine. You can see the vertebrae, all right, and saying these children are the enemy. The Australian government decided, you know what, we don't want this guy in our town to say something remotely like that here and spread that message. Finally, I mean...
What, do they want a medal?
Yeah, but it's something. But the thing is, this man will be given a first-class treatment in the USA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Since Netanyahu's arrest warrant, he's visited the USA 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times. Does that not make everybody that was involved in his trip and the arrangement of his trip, aren't they all aiding and abetting, harboring a fugitive? Shouldn't they all be sanctioned and accounted for? Everybody, even the one that prepared his meal, they knew that he was there and still did nothing, didn't report it. They can't report it because, they can't. But they can at least kick the door, do something. Make a noise.
Spit in his carrots.
Say something. Aren't you wanted for this? Aren't you wanted for murder? It's just say something.
Oh, that guy.
So I mean, somebody needs to kick him in Netanyahu at this point. I mean, the thing is, like, what I'm trying to get at. Do you think Australia will turn into USA in the sense that how APAC has run USA, how they got them by the balls so firmly? Do you think they're going to get away with it here in Australia? Do you think they're going to succeed?
Well, they're still sending parts of the weapons.
Yeah.
They're sending by the integral parts that actually got bombs. And it's been proven that they're lying about it not going directly to Israel. It actually is going directly there.
I still think that if it came to anything actually really meaningful, we wouldn't do it. And we'd do it because our masters have told us what to do.
And I don't think we'd turn into the US.
No, we don't need to. Israel's happy for us to be. Yeah. If we were a bigger player, then they would. But we're a bit of a minority. It's good that we do what we're told.
If Australia had a bigger military, for example, then Israel would definitely be yes.
I guess it is symbolic that they worry about because historically we've been an ally and then just sort of look like we're turning on them. They probably don't like that. It's almost that sometimes I feel like APAC turn around and tell Australia how much nasty things you can say about us. They put the limit. Hey, today you can say that, we're...
Yeah, but that's it for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
because it's very cosmetic and it makes you feel a little bit better for 5 seconds and then you go, no.
Well, how do you feel about this woman that's been appointed who's fighting anti-Semitism here in Australia? What was her name again? I had her name. That's the one. Gillian. What anti-Semitism do you think they are fighting exactly? Again, they're just fighting on behalf. They're just defending anything said about Israel.
Yeah,
they're not defending anything said about Judaism in any way. Mm-hmm. So no one's attacking Abraham here.
No,
you know what I mean?
She's actually probably in a way facilitating anti-Semitism, really, because they're not identifying the correct sort of issue and idea. So you'll see that anti-Semitism will sort of go under the rug, the real anti-Semitism, because a lot of that will be to people who don't support Israel, and they couldn't care less what happens to people who don't support Israel.
Well, this obviously just feels like an attempt to have a stronger hold on the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Silence people.
You know.
There's less freedom of speech.
Because a lot of people,
And make it look respectable.
a lot of people who may not know about the situation, but they sympathise with, say, Palestine, and they want to say something, they do, and they be called an anti-Semite, but they don't know how to respond because they feel like they hurt somebody's feelings, or they're not educated enough to reply. They shut up.
This is where the whole
Education.
what I call the whole mythology of Hamas comes in. How Hamas and the way it's talked about in society is a sort of the final thing to silence you. Do you support Hamas?
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
do this.
Okay.
Always gotta do-
Terrorists, so that,
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Here's
definition of terrorism is also very memorable.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to be Piers Morgan by asking that stupid question, that condescending question. Do you condemn them? What are your views of Hamas?
Okay, so can I ask you a question with a question?
That's a very Jewish thing to do, but go ahead.
Thank you.
You know.
Would they exist if things in Palestine went the way?
Absolutely not.
So
Yeah.
they're resistance fighters, right?
No.
They're resisting an occupation then.
Mhm.
So, you know, when it's international war, they're meant to be able to do that. But they're also a political faction. They're not just militaries.
Yeah.
They were voted in. So
Yeah.
I think
The PLO.
I think that it's not what
No, they were voted
Yeah.
in Gaza.
Yeah.
So I sort of, I mean, they're a product of the conflict. They're not, it's like saying, the Black Panthers caused slavery.
Yeah.
In America. It's ridiculous.
No, of course. Yeah, that's
They're
a great
product
analogy.
of it. So they're a resistance movement, and they've broken international law with some of the things they've done. But it's a bit like, did you hear I can remember a quote from a movie, Apocalypse Now, about, charging people with murder was like handing out speeding tickets at the Indy 500. And that's what you've got, Israel, who's standing there. Well, just look at, the march of the Great Return, what they did there. That was enough to push a group like Hamas to, how are we going to respond to this? They've killed dozens and dozens of our children, made hundreds of people. And I think that was a turning point. That to see, because they said, we want to do this, it was peaceful, and look what happened to you. They just butchered you.
Obviously, peaceful protest wasn't going to go anywhere. It was only going to
That's why I always say about October the 7th that I was shocked but not surprised. It was waiting to happen. It's building, you push people into despair, you make them powerless, and then you keep grinding them. Something's going to give. And people resist oppression in all sorts of ways. And it's very nice for us to sit here in our nice liberal, fluffy democracy that we've got here and talk about what, you should and shouldn't do.
Well, a lot of people say about October 7th, what took them so long? But even though there has been significant evidence that proves that Israel was behind the whole October 7th,
Something very dodgy.
at least knew they had been told by Egypt, right?
Yeah.
But they were training in the open.
No. October 7th wasn't a mistake. Just like 9/11
Why
was a
they
mistake.
did, even down to, I mean, I personally hate conspiracy theories. I don't like them at all. But even why the Nova concert wasn't moved, given that they knew they were training over something, and that's why,
No, it was a setup. It was a setup to do what it is that they're actually doing right now. Again, we were talking about the stronghold that they're having. And it's not just from a government point of view, but it's also from civilian point of view, like the owners of the restaurant in Melbourne, this Jewish restaurant, that they vandalized, and they put like Nazi signs and spray paint all over it, and then the police did the investigation and found out that the people that did it were the owners themselves.
Like the camera again.
Did you hear about that?
See, that's where I look.
Like master manipulation tactics here.
I mean, when I look at, even since 2008, I've been involved in this, but particularly last 2 years, I've never, and in all that time, met an activist that I thought would do something like that.
Well, no.
I can remember once we got these sort of weird people that turned up to a talk we did at Adelaide Uni, and they were all into that Holocaust denying historian, and they were all sort of clearly neo-Nazis. But that's the only time I've ever seen it in what is now 17 years. And who do you think, at the rallies that we know, and what we would do to them if they did? We would just we'd just get rid of them.
So the thing is, I can tell you that it wasn't Arabs because we used to do that in high school. We used to tag. Remember the tagging, the graffiti, right? We used to do that on bus stops and stuff like that. Yeah. That's as far as it ever went. And we never tagged anything that resembled violence of any kind. My friend was a DJ and he always carried a stereo, so his tag was stereo. Right? So if you saw stereo, that was my friend that did that. Right? So unless somebody tagged stereo on their restaurant, it wasn't us, right? And tagging is old-fashioned now. We don't do it anymore. But it was something of the 90s. There was a big thing in the early 90s. Right? You used to see tags everywhere. So if anybody's tagging anything, it's the owner that's tagging it. It just makes no sense.
I go back to when I talk to people. I said, look, these are the same people who lied about the 40 beheaded babies, lied about all this stuff, and are still... and they're still doing it, and they're the same crowd, and I don't believe them. I'm not going to. I'd rather believe reporters who've been risking their lives, medical workers risking their lives to look after their patients and have come back traumatised themselves. You can see it. And they're telling the truth, no matter what it is. I trust them.
First-hand footage constantly.
Yeah.
So we have that.
See, they call that Pallywood. They call that Pallywood. The Israelis, they say this is all made up.
Horrendous.
Yeah. Some of that stuff. They had kids, on TikTok and that pretending to be Palestinian women crying.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're just
horrific.
It's disturbing and disgusting and vile, and it's such a very Israeli thing to do. I've taken it upon myself. Whenever somebody tells me a whopper of a lie, I don't say you're a bullshit artist. I say, you're trying to Israel me. Because they believe the lie so much. Right? I want to put it out there. I want the definition of Israel to change the way they've changed the definition of anti-Semitism. I want to change everything. I want to flip everything they've been trying to do on us for so long.
And I think they're actually doing a really good job of that themselves.
No. They're doing a fantastic job destroying their own image.
That's what it looks like, people who live in a bubble. They don't really know what's going on outside the other bubble. That's all the similar that's out there, but they don't realise that they're cutting their own throats. And that's what it looks like.
And there's even this woman, filmmaker, oh God, what's her name again? Something Silverman, I think, a very Jewish name. She created a documentary called Israelism. God, I forgot her name. I spoke about it in my other podcast show, showing the how Jewish people have a right to their birthright to go to Israel and get educated about being there and stuff like that, and how they weren't allowed to go and enter certain areas, but they weren't allowed to, but they wanted to see everything and they wouldn't allow them. But when they went to go see firsthand what it was that had been hidden, they completely changed the whole perspective about what it was like to be Jewish and what it was like to go back to their homeland. And that this documentary completely shattered Israel's narrative, which was great. Because they went because it's a free trip. If you're Jewish and below the age of 35, you get a free trip to Israel. And if you want to live there, you just have to pick your own house. Since it's so hard to buy a house in Australia, just convert to Judaism and pick one that you want. All right, but you have to be the right color Jew, But that's how easy they're making it, And but all that is falling apart now, and hopefully it will fall all the way.
It was sort of known by the hardcore activist minority. Now it's gotten out.
Now it's much more mainstream. Absolutely. Yeah. I remember even. When I was younger, I tried to ask my mum, why do I keep hearing about Israel and Palestine? Who's right? She gave me the whole, it's been happening forever. Because of the Bible. Both sides are as bad as each other. And I was about 9 or 10, and I was like, oh, okay. And then when I was a bit older, I was like, God, I'm still hearing about this. And I tried to find stuff online, and I couldn't find anything unbiased, I felt. So I still was confused, and I still didn't know. And October 7th happened, and I had a Palestinian friend who said, what do you think about that? And I said, I don't know enough to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And he said, and sent me a very unbiased, very factual article, and I went,
Yeah, yeah. A lot of
believe it.
there are so many people that would either not believe it or refuse to believe it because they can't believe that anybody or any country could commit these atrocities. And there are so many like
And yet
outlandish.
pretend to be a nice liberal democracy.
Yeah. Like
And our government is so complicit as well, and I think that shatters a lot of people's ideas of what governments are supposed to be, and it's really hard for them. It's like a bit of cognitive dissonance. Our government wouldn't do that. If it was that bad, they'd be doing something.
But you know, that's the power of money, I guess. Money can buy money buy that type of silence. But how do they live with themselves afterward? That's you know, again, a lot of people just don't care.
I reckon the messaging I got was mostly from Hollywood.
Yeah,
with movies like The Exodus, Leon Uris and Paul Newman, who was in that, and then even like Raid on Entebbe, those sorts of movies that I saw as a kid that just came here, and that's all you get. I can remember on Victory at Entebbe, there was a lot of movies about the Entebbe raid because it was such a pro sort of thing, and there was actors that I recognised from Hollywood on sitcoms and stuff, and there was this scene where these two Jewish guys are just talking about Israel and Palestine, and the Arabs. They didn't really want to say Palestine.
Okay.
And he was telling a joke about a story about trying to. There was a mirror of the situation. He told the story of there was a turtle and a scorpion, and they wanted to cross the river. And the scorpion knew it would drown, and the turtle was, and the scorpion said to the turtle, "Let me hop on your back, and we'll go over together." And the turtle says, "I'm not doing that. Once you get on my back, you'll sting me and we'll die." And the scorpion says, "Well, if I do that, we'll both die, won't we?" And so the turtle goes, "Okay." So lets the scorpion hop on his back, and halfway across the river, the scorpion stings him. And they're both going down and both drowning. And the turtle says, "Why did you do that? Well, now we're both going to die." And the scorpion says, "This is the Middle East." That's how we wanted to picture it. Mob of fucking crazies who are just killing each other. And here's nice Israel in the middle of it, in the tough neighbourhood. So that narrative went into me, and I would have been 12.
Yeah, but you know,
so that was powerful.
Hollywood does have major influences, obviously, especially when you're children. You know, because when we were kids, we learned that Rambo defeated the Russians, not Afghanistan. You know, it was all one guy that killed all that army by himself. You know, but even Hollywood is waking up. You know, you will see in the future. They'll science fiction movies like The Schindler's List will not exist anymore. Like in the future, they'll be making movies about this. They'll be making movies, not just documentaries. They'll be making movies about this, and they're going to be called anti-Semitic, and they're going to be called so many things. But you know what? They're going to win awards as well.
Well, the one that we saw, the No Other Land.
Yeah.
What was the guy from Friends, David Schwimmer?
Yeah.
Got up afterwards and complained about anti-Semitism in Hollywood.
Again, he's part of the Zionist regime, just like Jerry Seinfeld is part of the Zionist regime. Adam Sandler is part of the Zionist regime. Sacha Baron Cohen is part of the Zionist regime. These are all poster children for the Zionist regime to push that narrative. I mean, I love Adam Sandler, but when he came out with that horrible, unfunny movie, Don't Mess with the Zohan, it wasn't even that funny. It wasn't as much pro-Israel as it was anti-Arab. And he just went off the plot with that film, and it was a bad rated film, like 5.8 stars out of 10, which was crap. I mean, there was some funny bits in it, but the message that he was pushing, like, dude, what are you doing? Stick to Happy Gilmore, stick to Billy Madison, stick to being a dumb idiot. Don't do this. You know, we don't want you this. Now he's lost that fan base because a lot of people have seen that. So you just have to pay these people never mind, because you know they're not speaking from their hearts, but they are representative of the ones that are controlling the narratives. One of the things that Israel does as part of their huge funding is that they use part of their funding to pay celebrities to visit.
Oh, yeah.
They wear the yarmulke. They stand in front of the wall. They get given the flag to wave. They pay them in the tens of millions of dollars for a 2-day stay, and they get pictures of them with the flag to get full credibility. Because these celebrities are worshipped by lots of people. And if they worship these celebrities, and they see these celebrities worship Israel, then Israel will think that they're getting more supporters. But any human being can tell you, this is all propaganda. This is all bullshit.
So I saw something on YouTube about how many Australian politicians had junkets to Israel. It wasn't an exhaustive list, but it was 86. and how many had actually been to Palestine, the West Bank, was 6. So that's the you know, and I imagine I can just see how the Israelis would be.
Yeah.
They would just make it look like you're back home. You're in a Western country here with quaint little customs. Go down to the Wailing Wall, but they would just be full on, and they would buy their loyalty. So that's it.
Well, I mean, that's what they're all about: power, money, domination.
I'm trying to find people who've spent any time in the West Bank. You know, that Australian people. There's just I can remember standing out there in BDS, and some woman came up to me. She said, "Have you even been there?" And I'm there. Yeah, I worked there for 3 months as a human rights observer, and I've done political tours there, and I lived in jails and
that shut her up.
And she just
yeah, there you go.
Because suddenly she went, "Oh, you might know someone who's actually been there and seen the occupation and how it works." Okay.
Now, wrapping it up, do you think the people, your common Australian person, when I say common Australian, I'm talking about white Australian. Do you think they're getting more understanding? Do you think it's happening more and more every day that they are seeing what's really going on?
I'm not convinced that people are ready to speak up yet. I think, ironically, they're waiting for it to be safer, but in order for it to be safer, more people need to speak up. So there's that.
See, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because before we started filming, I was talking to Craig here about how I got a script. I got a story. It's about the importance of boycotting, and I was trying to cast people in it. And when they read the script, they ran away from it. I don't want to do this. I'm a teacher. If they saw me being in this film, I can get fired. I mean, this is an important issue. I mean, it's not attacking anybody, but just doing an awareness of why it's important to boycott.
Yeah.
And they're all terrified that they might lose their jobs or they'll have a bad reputation. And this is a sad thing. I've been trying to get funding for this film because I have to pay people to be in this, let alone if they can agree to be in it. Yeah. If I pay them, then I know that I have the total right. So if they change their mind later, I paid for it, I got it signed, it's my video, it's my film, it's my baby. And it's a very important film that I really want to make. So going from here, what do you hope for Teachers for Palestine to achieve? Like, what is your ultimate goal?
I think ultimately it would be policy change, would be a big one. Yeah. Curriculum change. We are, I think, one of only 2 states and or territories in Australia that doesn't have a strong policy around having no weapons manufacturer funding in our schools. So a lot of our STEM programs are actually funded by weapons manufacturers, Raytheon, BAE Systems, all of those, Lockheed Martin, all that kind of stuff. And, when we're not even meant to have alcohol and tobacco funding, but they do have that as well. But they're willing to have weapons manufacturers funding things for our kids, almost like grooming them into this. You should work for the army or you should work for the military or whatever. It's gross.
And we'd like to stop that.
We'd like to stop that.
And hopefully we will stop that. And at this point, we're going to come to a stop. Kim and Craig, I want to thank you for being here. Please follow them on Instagram at Teachers4Palestine with the number 4, correct?
Yes.
And
SA at the end because there's other states as well.
It'll be right there. On the video where I'm pointing. So thanks for joining us for another episode of The Magic Hour. I'm being your host, Majid and Derry, a.k.a. Magic Leb. Please subscribe to my Instagram at Fame Film Agency and on my YouTube at Majid and Derry. Until next time, y'all take care.